Hey everyone, and thanks for joining us today. We're going to be talking about lead generation levers today. So, what that is how we conduct our business, how we find the next piece of business, and how we consistently lead generate to make sure that we're connecting with the right amount of people and moving our business forward every single day. So, I wanted you to start by thinking about why you're listening to us today. Why are you here? What are you looking to get out of today? Are you trying to figure out another lead generation lever? Are you trying to add sustainability to your business? What's the main reason? What are you hoping to get out of today? Just make a little note of it somewhere and revisit that when you start and hopefully when you finish, and hopefully you can get out of today what you're here for. So starting with the man up top, Gary Keller, when you interview the top people and ask them what their biggest challenge is, they'll tell you that it's mindset. So keeping it strong, focused, and positive amidst the many challenges they encounter on a day-to-day on the way to the top and staying there. The vast majority say it's not the issue is leads, but the issue will be mindset. And so we follow that as well, and realizing that if you are going to take on these lead generation levers, it's not an overnight success and it will take you time in order to get there, and keeping your mindset strong will almost guarantee that you do make it. So success begins with proven models, and if you have read the MREA by Gary Keller, we want to build our business on models that do work and then add creativity to it after. Most realtors build their business on creativity first. That's the fancy cards, the good looking signs, the stuff they stick on their car, and they have no models, and they wonder why their business year to year feels like a roller coaster and they're up and down without the ability to create a sustainable business. So these are the 7 main lead generation levers: database, open house, circle prospecting, door knocking, for sale by owners, farming, and then the new one that's been added recently has been social media. So the first lead gen lever is the database. Probably the most important lead gen lever of them all, and should account for up to 60% of your business, if not more. It's the heartbeat of your business, and with regular contact, you can pretty well achieve most of what you have through your database. We want to make sure that we're recording all contact information from any leads, tracking our interactions with them, and assigning them to the appropriate marketing plan. Now, when you think about your database, there's 4 rules to your database that you must follow. The first is to build it. Having it on a bunch of cards and scattered through your phone does not technically count as a database unless you're effectively working it. So you want to have a central place that you can put your database. Lots of different CRMs out there, but at the very minimum, have it in an Excel spreadsheet where you can access it all the time. You then want to make sure you're feeding it every day. There's no point in having it if you aren't going to consistently add new contacts to it every day. You also want to make sure you're communicating with it in a systematic way. And then the last rule is to service the leads that come your way. Now, when you look at a database, Gary Keller gives us the magic formula. So if you've got 1,920 METs in your database, you should be able to get 320 sales a year out of it. This is the Millionaire Real Estate Agent plan. If you've got no METs, but 16,000 have in METs, you should still be able to get the same amount. And if you have 960 and 8,000, you should still be able to get to 320 sales per year by effectively communicating and working with your database. So one of the ways to feed it every day is to make, at a minimum, 10 new contacts every day and entering 10 new people into your database. You want to start writing out handwritten notes. This is one that gets forgotten a lot or doesn't get executed, and really is one of the most effective ways to show that you're doing more than every other agent. All we receive in the mail these days are bills or flyers, but when's the last time you received a nice thank you in the mail? I know for me, over the holiday season, it's always nice to get in thank you cards with people we've done business with as well, and it always puts them a leg up over everyone who chose not to. One of the ways, if you don't have any listings as well, is to go out and start previewing 10 homes a week, not daily. A big reason for that is it's going to give you metrics to talk to your database about. Now, if you went out and saw 10 homes and 3 of those were great purchases, you can then reach out to your database with those homes and explain to them why you believed it was a great purchase and get some engagement with your database. And when we talk about communicating with it in a systematic way, you want to look at the 8x8, the 12 direct, and the 33 touch. The 33 touch is going to be all about sustaining that relationship. Every contact that you come in contact with at some point should be in your 33 touch. The 8x8, that's going to be for initial contact to start building the relationship and keeping in touch early. So hypothetically, a new lead comes in, you've now made contact with that lead, you're going to communicate with them 8 times over the next 8 weeks in order to make sure that you build a very healthy relationship with them. Then you'd move them out of there into your 33 touch, and then you're going to sustain that relationship. That's where you're going to really show your value. Now, there are some people that aren't going to have emails, and you might want to do a 12 direct mail campaign with them, and that's another way in order to create new relationships. That's going to lead you into new business. The 33 touch is going to lead you to repeat and referral business, as well as the 8x8. Now, when we talk about servicing all the leads, one of the ways that we find that works really well is looking at the FAST system. So funnel, assign, source, and track those leads. So leads are funneled into a single point of entry for the business. That's probably going to be your database. And then they're assigned to the appropriate plan, or in your case, the team member. So when those leads come in, you might decide, you know what, these guys should go right on an 8x8 campaign or 9 days of pain, or one of the various different ways in which you can communicate with them early. And then you want to make sure you're calculating your source. And the reason for that is when you look at your business at the end of the year, you want to be able to identify how much of my business came out of the database, how much came from internet lead traffic, how much came from cold calling, to find out if your returns are effective for the effort that you're putting in. And then you want to make sure that you track it. 70% more business exists for teams and agents who follow up effectively. I'll say that again. 70% more business lies in your follow-up. So you want to track where everything's coming from and making sure that you're doing the best that you can, keeping notes on the file, as well as ensuring that everything else is there. Next up, we're going to talk about open houses. So open houses. Consistency over time will yield you all your results. Clients come to an open house for one of 3 reasons. They're either there to buy a home, sell a home, or get pricing on their home, or they're looking for a friend. Technically, that's 4 ways. Now, it's a start to finish system like every other, and again, the key is going to be in the follow-up. So when most agents say to me, you know what, open houses aren't successful, I always go to their follow-up plan, and in almost every single case, they don't have one. So here's a quick open house schedule if you plan on making open house one of your primary lead gen levers. Again, start to finish plan, so you can't come into this without being willing to commit all the way through. So day 1, you're going to want to select an open house. Now, it can be any day of the week, but the first step is obviously selecting that. Now, you should be doing this before you get into your week. Then you're going to want to post it online, get a call list around the homes, and mail out invites to the neighbors if possible. Then you're going to post it again online. You're going to call those neighbors, and you're going to put your first sign out. Reason for that is you want to get people starting to think about the home before the open house. Now, we can't put out our signs on every single corner. We can definitely put it out in front of the home to start letting people know who drive by that there will be an open house coming up. Then you're going to post online again, call the neighbors again, and you're going to go into your database tags. Now, when we've talked about database, this was one of the things we mentioned where you might want to tag certain people in your database as price points. If the home that you're doing matches the price point that they're looking in, you're going to want to invite them to come out and see that home. Then you're going to want to post it online again, create a social media post, get some market stats and comparables so that you have them with you either in print form or digital folder, because there's nothing that makes you look less effective in an open house than not knowing what's happening in the area. Day 6, you're going to want to keep posting online, social media, but then we're going to add in a new flavor and we're going to door knock 100 doors. We're also going to invite our key sphere people. I'm sure we've all been in an open house that no one shows up at. Why not have someone you know and like already come out and see you in action? Day 7, Complete that door knocking, social media, get your directional signs out. You might even want to add calling the neighbors again to remind them about the open house and invite them to come out and see you. Again, this is a start to finish plan, and you want to ensure that you're doing it effectively. You could do multiple open houses. One of the things that no one ever talks about is you could do an open house on a vacant property every single day. I bet you there's vacant properties in your market right now that no one's doing anything with, because most agents avoid doing open houses at a vacant property. Now, what if you had an amazing rental vacant near a school? Would it not make sense to hold that house open maybe on a Tuesday afternoon between 3 and 5, or between 2:30 and 3:30? Would parents not see the home? Would drive-bys not happen as schools are letting out? And would you not get access to a few people that nobody else would be thinking about? You could literally do an open house every day with this system. Then the follow-up. This is what we like to call our relationship building square that we use with our team. One of the things that we do that no other teams are doing right now is we initiate the follow-up the day of the open house. So most people are waiting until Monday, Tuesday, or even sometimes Wednesday until they follow up on those open house leads. We're doing it the day of the open house. So what this looks like is we have a conversation with the seller before we get there. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, we'd like to have the open house from 1:30 to 4:30. We're only going to have the house open from 2 to 4, but from 1:30 to 2, we're going to make sure that your neighbors are coming on out. So we're going to follow up on those invites through the phone. And then from 4 until 4:30, we're going to follow up with all those leads to get you feedback. So the first step is that call. We're going to thank them for coming. We're going to confirm their info, and we're going to ask their permission to send them something out if we can, as well as that note card. We're going to ask them a real estate question, mainly trying to figure out what's the reason that they came, and then we're going to thank them again, always coming from gratitude. Next step is we're going to send that email. We're going to thank them again. We're going to send them an item of value. Some examples: Geo Warehouse reports, home buyers guides, or any comparables similar to the home that they came and saw. Look forward to talking to you again soon in the email. So we're setting that expectation. And again, we're going to ask them another real estate question. Then we want to thank them again. Then we're going to send them out the thank you card on the Monday, thanking them. We're going to include some business cards. And we're going to set the expectation that we look forward to speaking to them again. Then we're going to finish by thanking them once more. Then we're going to do a follow-up call to ask if they've received an email, the note card. We're going to set the expectation that we plan on speaking to them. We're going to ask them another real estate question. And then we're going to send them some listings matching what they're looking for. Then we're going to close for the appointment. Now, if this is all done effectively, you should have a new client by the time you're done. Next up is circle prospecting, aka cold calling, and the one that seems to give most agents so much fear that they won't pick up the phone. The reason we love cold calling is the cost versus time. It doesn't cost us very much to pick up the phone, and there's virtually next to no marketing around it. But our time for effort is going to be pretty high. So when you look at the myth, prospecting equals cold calling equals rejection. Really, if you change your way of thinking around it, bold law, change the way you look at things, and the things you look at will change. Prospecting is just about meeting new people and building purposeful relationships, which in turn will equal a strong real estate business. So when we get into it, step one is you want to make sure that you've got the right approach. If you're having a bad day, do not pick up the phones, because that energy is going to come through. You want to have the right mindset and the right approach. Be proactive, be willing to break the ice, be friendly, caring, and most importantly, be yourself. It's going to sound scripted. The least we could do is try to make it at least about how we sound. Be curious about them. Be ready to give positive feedback. Be confident in your pace and posture, and be ready to connect with them. Step two is going to be that connection. So you always want to come from contribution. Hey, the reason I'm calling today is we just sold a home in your neighborhood, and I was wondering, would you like to know what your home is worth? Coming from contribution. In everything we do, there's takers and there's givers. We want to make sure that we're a giver. Stay in curiosity, and one of the best ways to do that is to come from Ford. Ford. That's family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. In any conversation that we're having with potential clients, we want to make sure that we are asking questions around this information. Then you want to ask for an appointment or referral, thank them, ask for permission to follow up, and then get that contact information in order to do so. Next up, we've got door knocking. So the first piece of door knocking before going out is to do some research. Make sure that you understand the neighborhood you're door knocking in, because inevitably you will have that person that says to you, what did the home one street over sell for? What's happening in my area? Do you know? And the minute you're caught flat-footed, you're eliminated from the conversation. So before you go out, make sure you know your research, which is something you should be doing on a daily anyway. Then you want to have something to leave behind. So unless you're door knocking at 8:30 in the morning or at dinner time, which is both of those aren't recommended, you're going to encounter a lot of doors that no one's going to be there. And that's okay. It's a great time to leave a door knocker and share some information with them. Now, every other realtor out there is telling you that they can sell their home for free. They can do what this person says and do what that person says. And by the time the blue bin go out, we see every single flyer that every other agent has ever used. Now, what if your flyer said, call me today to find out how my clients are netting 5% more than the average home in your area? Do you think someone might call? You also want to make sure that you're using powerful scripts. So if someone doesn't answer the door, make sure you've got a compelling script that you've practiced a few times before you go door knocking. Again, you don't want to be caught flat-footed, but make sure that you are prepared and you're practicing them to have a successful conversation. And then you want to offer something of value. Just listed, just sold, market stats, and free home evaluations are a few examples of things that you can use when door knocking. Then you want to coordinate your door knocking with any open houses that you're doing. Why not? You're going to be in the neighborhood on the weekend anyway. You could door knock them on Thursday and then see them again on Sunday or Saturday. You want to keep the conversation short, positive, and on their terms. A lot of times when people go door knocking, they want to push their objective onto the sellers. And we're not there for that. We're here to establish connections. Next up are for sale by owners. Now, everyone says there aren't a lot of for sale by owners, yet for sale by owners make up about 15% of the market. 47% of them will say that they don't want to pay commission. That's not 100%, 47%. So 53% have another reason why they're not using a realtor, and it's our job to figure out what that could be. Typical rule of for sale by owners, for every 8 that you are in conversations with, 1 will convert. 8-to-1 rule. Now you want to make sure you're coming from contribution as well. And you want to offer your expertise and offer your services. So these are 2 great ways to get into conversations with the seller. You want to show them your knowledge of the market, maybe give them some tips for selling, give them some tips on staging and getting ready to sell. You could also offer a service as long as they're not listed with another broker. You could hold an open house. You could do follow-ups. What would it be like if you got a list on Monday of potential buyers to follow up with? And that's a pretty easy conversation. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I understand that you're going to be having an open house this weekend. I just wanted to ask, is anyone doing the follow-ups with the potential buyers for you to find out why they're not willing to put an offer on the market? No, you say. Well, great. Why don't I do that for you? Every Monday, send me over the list of people that have come through, and I will call them and get honest and open feedback for you as to why none of them made an offer for your home. I'll then call you back and give you that information. And hopefully, it'll give you enough information that you can get a quicker sale. Would that be helpful? Now we know how that's going to play out, and they're going to say yes every time. You also want to ensure that you're doing your market analysis for the seller because they might be priced a little too high. So 6 ways to convert. A, you want to get that listing. Well, not every listing we're going to get, but what happens if we find that home for them so they can move? We could also bring a buyer if they're willing to pay us our commission. If the seller's moving out of town, we could get a referral fee, refer them to an out-of-town agent. If they're not listed with another brokerage, we could host the open house for them. And we could also offer our services that if a buyer shows up, we'll do the contract and walk them through the process to make sure they're getting top dollar for a small fee. Now the next one is farming. This is one that I believe all agents should start looking at and potentially getting back to, is farming. There's 3 types: geographic, demographic, and psychographic. Geographic, you want to ask, where are they? What's the location? Demographic, we want to ask, who are they? For instance, you could target millennials. That would be a demographic farm. Psychographic, what do they like? Next up, we've got social media. This is one starting to become extremely popular, and we're starting to see a lot of business being generated through social media. Social media acts like a database. It's no different. Can you probably guess what the number one mistake people make here? We've seen it all before. We've got lots of realtor friends that we're friends with. The number one mistake of most realtors is they only post their listings and what they're doing. They've forgotten how to be authentic. We wouldn't walk into a barbecue and the very first person that walked up, shake their hand and go, "Hey, I'm a realtor." We'd probably turn them off and nobody else would want to come and say hi to us at that barbecue. So we want to make sure that we're being authentic and remembering that it's called social media for a reason. I would pick one channel. I wouldn't be on every single one. And I'd find things to connect to your audience about. So if you're a runner, start talking about running. If you're a dog lover, share stuff about dogs. Be authentic to who you are. If social media is going to be one of the things you choose as one of your key levers, you want to ensure that you're creating content every single day. That's the name of the game, is content and engagement. So those are our 7 main lead generation levers. What we recommend is that you get really good at one, but you should at all times have a minimum of 3 that you're working. To have a sustainable business, they're called your pillars of business. I recommend putting the database at the top of your list and learning how to work it effectively. You can get 60 to 70% of your business from there with people who know and like you. Good luck, and thanks for listening in. Have a good day.